Hello and welcome to the June Twin Flame Monthly Masculine Feminine Full Reading. It's a joy to be here, always to meet you here. If you're here, you're supposed to be here. And just receive the messages that are for you. I always want you to tune into your intuition and your truth, and we're all just here to guide one another to that. I'm going to be redoing the Astro Tarot, the monthly Astro Tarot from next month, but it will be uploaded in a couple of weeks, so please keep an eye out for that. Do join me on my Patreon for the weekly live reading that I do. If you really want to truly be living your best life in a way that encourages others to do the same. It seems to be what's kind of emerging from that, but it is about masculine and feminine. It is about enlightenment through relationship, through seeing, to enlighten, to see. Awesome. So let's see what's happening for this month. That. Cool. Bottom of the deck is the 8 of Wands. This is about communication. It's also Cupid's arrow, so it's about communication of love. It's very cool. It's about clear communication. The Wands are of passion, they're of fire. It's also about travel. 8 of Wands hasn't come through for me to be about travel for a long time, but it is about travel here, as I feel here. Air travel. It's about air travel. So going the distance. I feel like if you want to say something, say it. If you want to be somewhere, go. If you want to, it's saying take action. Take the action to be where you want to be, where you want to go in your life. Take that action. There's an energy of a wind behind you. So take that wind, let it take you forward. First card for the masculine is the King of Wands. Second card for the masculine is the Two of Cups. Third card for the masculine is the King of Cups. Fourth card for the masculine is the Hanged Man. First card for the feminine is the King of Swords. Second card for the feminine is the Seven of Swords. Third card for the feminine is the Queen of Pentacles. Fourth card for the feminine is the King of Pentacles. Whoa. The middle cards I shall put out now. Turn over later. Bottom of the deck, as I said, that 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles, 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands. Passion, fire, direction, movement. Take the action. Just do it. Take the action. There's a very interesting energy in these cards. Lots of kings. I've got all the kings out. All the kings are in this spread. And they're kind of a little bit almost in the four corners. Almost. So there's a very strong masculine kind of structure with that king energy. But there's a lot of court cards. There's a lot of court cards, a lot of people, a lot of important people that you are supposed to meet, and not just within the relationship. I feel like it's to do with community, a structure of a community of people outside the relationship, maybe of the opposite sex. That's what I feel. So the masculine starts off with this King of Wands, and that King of Wands is kind of looking in the opposite direction away from the feminine, and he is the creator. For me, he's the creative, passionate king. He has a musicality to him. I always experience music with the King of Wands, but it doesn't have to be that. It's this kind of creative energy. He's looking out into his own life. It's about implementing dreams. I feel as though that King of Wands is about implementing dreams. There are so many stories in those wands of passion and fire and what gets your soul burning, what makes you light up, and what you can take out into the world. And I feel like that King of Wands for him is really very much about that. But it's about the implementation of it. Kings also are leaders, as I was talking about this kind of leadership. There's a peacefulness to him and a groundedness to him. So the masculine is really focusing on who he is in the world. But in general, that masculine energy is moving into the practical application of the individual in his own passion, in his own desire, but in a very grounded way. It's not out of control. It's not crazy. It's a new way of the masculine being in the world. He's more able to be solid in his desires and his creative desires, his creative will. So that doesn't necessarily have to be within the realms of what we understand to be creative. It can be within business. It can be within any aspect of life. It's in his life as he perceives it. The feminine starts off with the King of Swords. So two kings we start off with, but the King of Swords is about ideas. It's about the intellect, knowing, and truth. And writing. There's a communication focus this month. This 8 of Wands on the bottom of the deck, and this King of Swords seems to match up with that on that feminine side, because I heard the writer. So it's about her writing things down. There's a message for the feminine that she can write something down and send it, write a letter and send it, write an email and send it. But there's something about putting pen to paper. I hear the pen is mightier than the sword. So it's the most powerful method of communication of truth is the pen. So it's to write. And it looks as though that King of Wands is kind of looking away from, because they're kind of meeting like this, like he's looking away and she, they're kind of like this. So it may at first seem as though he is not interested in what she has to say initially. But it's not that he's not hearing, it's just that he's busy orchestrating or implementing his plans. So there's a busyness to him, and it's not a frenetic busy energy, but he is occupied. He is otherwise occupied. But that may be why she needs to communicate in that fashion. It's very pure, it's very clear. It can be stubborn sometimes, that King of Swords, so be a little bit careful not to communicate, I know this and this is the way that it is. The King of Swords can be a bit teacherish. And I always feel like when it arises in that energy, it's a bit arrogant and it's not quite so powerful. It's a bit, I know best. And I feel like the message is to be careful to not communicate from a place of this is how it is and this is how things are. This can happen within spirituality, within twin flame relationships, where it feels quite often as though the feminine side is the one that's more aware and more connected up in that way. And so she can kind of feel like she needs to teach it, or she sees, ahead, therefore she needs to be, she speaks and communicates in a kind of teacher fashion. It's that won't work here because the kings are equal. So it's to talk to him in an equal fashion about her truth, without that kind of condescension, to be honest. It's just to be really true without judgment. It's not that she believes she's better, it's that she believes she knows more. And she may, but it doesn't mean that just because she has more awareness doesn't mean that she is more, if that makes sense. Because it's just different awareness in different places, or different skills in different places. I feel as though, second card for the feminine, this 7 of Swords, she's running away from, or trying to get away from, some difficult things in her life. But it's difficult ideas. The swords are about beliefs and the way that we perceive things. I feel as though it's she's trying to get away from war. In this card, the character is trying to run away from a war zone for me. And he takes the weapons of war with him, though. So the swords being beliefs and ideas, I feel as though that King of Swords and that 7 of Swords are speaking to the feminine, saying, be careful not to hold on to your beliefs too strongly. Make sure you put them down. One sword at a time, speak at a time and speak clearly. I feel like there are aspects of her life that she wants to get away from. But as happens so often, and when I've coached people intuitively, using the cards, looking at their life, sometimes when people make a decision that they want to change their life, they feel that the life they're living doesn't quite work. They think, oh, I need to make a drastic change. I need to leave this environment. This is what this card says. It says, if I leave this environment, then I will be better. And what happens so often is, and what always tends to happen is, usually the advice given through the cards isn't to leave, or my intuition is not for them to leave. But it doesn't matter really what happens. But even if they do, it tends to be the realization a little bit down the line that wherever we go, we take ourselves with us. That this is the key of this Seven of Swords. Wherever I go, I take myself with me. So if you're taking the same beliefs about yourself, about others, about basically just about self, about others, or really about the world, those beliefs, those perceptions are what is informing your experience of reality. And so as long as you take yourself with you, it's going to manifest again. And it happens over and over and over. So I feel like there's this impulse to kind of clear out. And I think it was in this weekly live reading, that it came out, the Queen of Swords was there. And that was this energy of cutting out things. But this card is saying, be careful that you don't take your beliefs with you. Take the beliefs with you that are informing your reality and your circumstance, actually, that keep you stuck. But this is away from the masculine. It's really her in her life. But there is also a very positive energy to this card, because she's moving towards the masculine. She's moving towards this kind of merging. But she's a bit weighed down and slowed down by those thoughts. And it's just to be aware of that. The masculine's having a very big kind of, I'm going to say, heart awakening. But it's through his experience of himself and the world. So he's experiencing himself and the world in a different way through that King of Wands, creatively, and understanding himself in his passion, but in this very solid, very grounded experience. And then the second card he has is this Two of Cups. So then it feels like he's kind of brought back in a way to see this love and to see the truth. The Two of Cups is about soul relationships. It's about seeing. It's about deeply seeing one another. I really want to show you in this card. Let me just focus that up a bit, hopefully. The way they look at one another. The way, I can't get that focus right. Let me try and do this. Is it gonna work? It's trying. It's just the gaze, the looking at one another, and the gaze, and seeing the truth and the love in one another. Again, within that card, the masculine reaches out his hand to the feminine, and the feminine's on this side, on the masculine side, in the card on his column there. So, or his row, his column of cards. So she's kind of in his life, very, very much in his life, the two of them. There's this very mergy experience. She's very, very present, and just this gazing into each other's eyes and remembering. It's that time doesn't exist when we look into each other's eyes. We see, they're called the window to the soul, but we see the truth. We see time. So we see timelessness. We see what lives beyond the restriction that we put upon ourselves. He is really in that energy. It's there, and she is very, very much present with him. And then that King of Cups comes after as his third card. He feels able emotionally to communicate. Again, this Eight of Wands is about communication, about the communication of love. and movement, speed, movement forward. He arrives as this King of Cups. He is able to support her. He wants to support her. He is present. He can communicate. It doesn't matter how tumultuous that sea gets. He is solid on his plinth. He is looking out, and he is looking out for her. She then arises on at the same time with this Queen of Pentacles. This is about her feeling solid and secure in her life. I do feel as though this 7 is about getting away from the things that do not work for her. And then this Queen of Pentacles is about her getting really real about what does work for her practically in her life. And this feeling of abundance. It's connecting to abundance. It's saying if I connect to abundance of what I want to experience in my life, then I'm going to have more of that. There is definitely something as well, though, on that feminine side about business with this King of Pentacles, business and entrepreneurship, doing her own thing that's connected to her truth. Those swords are about truth, about knowing, their air, their intellect, their knowing. The Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles is about grounding that, living in her truth, living powerfully in her truth. It's very important that she owns her singular experience. What's been coming through recently is this Trinity idea within relationship, which has always been there since the beginning for me with these readings. So it's like this, let's say in this regard, as I'm reading it here, it's like the feminine is here, the masculine is here, and there's us here, or God here, this kind of Trinity thing, or God, the Father, God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in those kind of ways. They all have to grow equally. So this is very important that I feel very much at this time, it is very important that the individuals are fed as much as the togetherness. So it's almost like together in love grows, the love grows, and then we have to grow separately. And the focus needs to be on the self in the world, living one's truth, especially for the feminine. So there's this is my truth, this is who I am. It is about her communicating it. Not necessarily communicating that, but communicating clearly to the masculine and not from a place of condescension, which just seems to be relevant. And also to get away from things that aren't working in her life, but be careful that she takes responsibility for what she is creating with her thoughts and her beliefs. If she wants abundance, it is here. It's clearing out. The only thing that separates her from her experience of having everything are the thoughts that she's having. And when she is able to kind of put down those weapons, then this Queen of Pentacles emerges. And this Queen of Pentacles just feels full, abundant. It's just verdant. I love the word verdant. There's so much plant life and, little bunny rabbit in that Queen of Pentacles card. It just feels like springtime, and as though the springtime could never end. Everything's always blossoming, everything's always blooming, and there's this peacefulness. But then it moves into that King of Pentacles energy for her. That's more about, again, the leadership, taking it out into the world, being it, keeping it, creating things that it can live within to grow it, business, expansion. What I find interesting, as I said at the beginning, she has that Queen of Pentacles when he has this King of Cups. So it's as though he is able to emotionally support her and show up this month, but almost when she doesn't need it. It is the way it kind of happens. It doesn't mean she can't want it and it's not right for him to be there, because it is, and he is emotionally, but it's more that she has to practically have the experience that she is completely able. I know it's a bit kind of cliche, especially within these kind of ideas of these relationships, but it's a message there and it's strong. But it's almost like she's the practical one. This month, she's the practical one. He's more of the emotional one. He's the emotional stability. He's more about passion and love and emotion. And she's more about thinking and knowing and practically living her spiritual truth, let's call it. So he's kind of more playful, and she's more not more playful, but just more, it's more fluid. It's not as, to be honest, it doesn't feel as important. It's not as structural. There's something about leadership and teaching, like I said, on that feminine side that keeps coming through in a lot of the things that I'm doing, and in the personal readings that I'm doing as well, about how, you know, you're a teacher. And I keep getting these messages that she, the feminine, needs to understand her role as a lighthouse for teaching by example, living in love, in her energy. The masculine's taking a bit of the back foot. The fourth card he's got down here is the Hanged Man. So then there's a bit of a pause. It's just a kind of a bit of a pause in time, because there's more to see. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, but I feel like it's in his life. I don't feel like it's necessarily to do with the relationship. It feels like it's much more independent to the masculine, that he might feel like he can't necessarily move forward. I do feel as though all the practicality and the practical power has been on the masculine side. It's now shifted over to the feminine side. She's got that Queen of Pentacles and that King of Pentacles. So it's almost like she has both masculine and feminine energies working in that practical realm, which is handy and kind of what she's needed. It's her feeling grounded, talking about living the 5D truth in the 3D reality. This is exactly what this is about. It's about living that higher truth, her higher individual truth in her practical reality. This is what is happening. As long as she can kind of just go through the steps, be careful not to carry her own thoughts. If she keeps... There's always a message for the feminine to not know anything. There's this, I really feel like she needs to be stripped. In this narrative, in this twin flame narrative and twin flame story, the way that it's unfolded, where she is the intuitive, she is the more powerfully connected intuitive being, it seems to be, in the connection, where she has more knowledge and awareness. It's for her to now kind of understand and learn that she doesn't know anything, or she doesn't need to know anything, and she doesn't need to teach anything. Because if she believes she knows things and she believes she needs to teach things, that belief will hinder her ability to be aware and to teach, to be wise and to inspire by example. So it's time for her to let go of all of her beliefs, to do with everything. I really feel like it's all her spiritual beliefs, so that she can then ground it truly, live it in practical reality. It is here. This relationship is here for her. But for the masculine, it feels like he doesn't really have much power or ability. Practically, he's just kind of like a little bit, can't move forward, can't do much. But it's because he's just, I feel like he's kind of solid in this King of Cups energy. He's much more focused on being emotionally available and emotionally connected with himself, rather than practical and doing things in the world. It's more like, I'm just going to stay here in this energy. I'm just going to be here. It could be a bit frustrating for him. Might feel like things aren't working. He can't quite be the person he was before. It doesn't work. It's not even that it doesn't work. It's not he's trying and it doesn't work. It's that there isn't the opportunity. It's almost like he can't move. He can't move. He can't speak. He's just in this way, and it's different. He's not motivated to speak or to communicate or to be the way he was before. He's just present and loving. It's good. That Hanged Man feels good, but it is a bit different, and there's a juxtaposition between these two energies, the masculine and feminine, because the feminine's in the practical position now. So she's the one driving all the practical stuff, and he's much more in this just being position. The root we've got here is the Page of Wands, and then the crown is the 10 of Cups. This is awesome. The Page of Wands is about planning, seeing, creating, new beginnings. He's also a messenger arriving, messages arriving of good news. but it's also about, I feel like this is about grabbing a hold of your dream and your desire and really looking at it. Really looking at the dream. Studying it. Not afraid to look at desire itself. Desire itself is the expansion of the universe working within you. Your individual desire, which can be difficult to grab a hold of to begin with, because we are born into a world where there's a lot of trauma actually, and a lot of conditioned ways that we think we should be, that cause us to essentially drown out our desire, and then that desire can be kind of moved onto other things like addiction or work, careers. You know, you can just focus on a whole 50-year career and not ever really get into contact with one's true desire. That's kind of what we're evolving out of. That Page of Wands is saying, get sensitive, get curious about your desire one by one, only one at a time. Your pure desire is of God. It is God's desire. It is the desire of the universe when you connect to it. And if you are able to connect to it, then the expression of that is this. This togetherness, this wholeness is so 100% here, but it's real. It's almost like this, 2.4 children average kind ofness, of family and togetherness, of joy. And it's almost saying that, I feel like it's saying that these ideas and these dreams of relationship that seem like they're opposed to freedom and higher love are not. When we can really connect to our desires as they arise. So it's about being present, and it's about saying, well, what do I want now? Or how do I perceive the world now? What am I perceiving? Where do I want to take it? Where do I want to go? And one step at a time. Also, it's about planning. So plan the dream. Plan for the dream. Plan for the dream come true. Visualize. Again, that Page of Wands is about visualization. Allow yourself to dream. Put yourself out there. It's really, really very important. And communicate it. So the backbone is this Page of Wands, then this 8, and then up into this 10. So that is know what you want, communicate it, shoot for the stars, and experience it. That crown is what wants to be experienced. It's what is flowering. It's what is available. It is 100% available. Card the masculine takes in is the 3 of Cups. Card the feminine takes in is the 9 of Pentacles. I mean, this Pentacles on this feminine side is crazy. That 9 of Pentacles is right next to the Queen. It's a very similar energy about abundance. Again, I said verdant things, connected to nature. Nature's very important. I feel like the feminine does need to get out into nature. She is there presenting the masculine with herself in her environment that works for her, where she feels true, she feels abundant, that she is surrounded by things that work for her. That's what she is able to communicate and give to the masculine. The masculine's, I feel, in this 3 of Cups energy, it's all about women. So like I said at the beginning, I felt like there's a message about these relationships whereby it's important that the feminine gets in touch with other masculine energies. So this King, which could be people. So King of Swords can show up as a teacher. King of Pentacles can be a benefactor. Sorry, that's it. King of Swords can be a teacher. King of Pentacles can be a benefactor. And it's her connecting with other masculine energies. And then I feel similar for the masculine with this 3 of Cups, which is traditionally about women, celebrating women and the celebration of women. And that is how he gets to her. That is how he communicates with her, especially through this King of Cups. He is solid, he is emotionally available and understands, he's speaking from the heart. And being around women and understanding women and celebrating women and emotion again, cups and emotion and love. That's his way to reach her, to reach the feminine through this celebration of the feminine energy and of women in his life. That's how he gets to her. It's really about him celebrating and experiencing that feminine energy. And I feel like it is about community. To focus solely on this relationship is not the point anymore. It's about how does it fit? It's part of it being grounded in the world. How does this fit in the world? How does this communicate and link up with other relationships, other people, friends, other couples, other, in the real world? It's really this growing of the community living in love. I feel it very strongly. Outcome is the 7 of Cups. So again, the 7 is all about finding your own truth and exploring. And I also feel like it's saying there's always more. There is always more. There is always more. Never focus on some end point that you're going to get to, because it's just not true. And so people can have this experience of, I feel like it's always 3 steps ahead of me, but it's because you are projecting it out into the future because you're not really allowing it in now. So it's this 7 is an awareness that there's always going to be more. Life is here for you to explore, to expand into. You never really know anything, but this is about exploring your feelings, really getting in touch with how you feel in the moment and taking action from that place, being brave to explore all things, even if they seem difficult and challenging, and to just keep going with that. And to really let go of this idea that there is some desired place whereby things are different, because it's just not true. It is all available now if we seek it, if we are okay to explore it. I feel like people do have this separation between what they feel is their kind of spiritual truth and then their practical truth, or their spiritual reality or their practical reality. Or it's like everything's love and oneness, but I don't experience love and oneness in the world or around me. I just don't see it. It's there, and there truly isn't. But that can only occur from openness, the openness to explore and to have the courage to explore one's feelings and to not know anything, to not hold on to anything, to not hold on to beliefs and take them with us. It's really about, how do I feel about this? Let me explore this in the moment. Then it's as though when we explore those cups, that's when life exposes itself. The desires expose themselves, or it's like the desires come to us. It's like the way to get to that 10 is through that 7, but it's through a little bit of unknownness. The unknown is needed for us to be able to follow our joy, follow our feelings. It's saying, feel your way into it. Don't think your way. And I really feel like that 7 is saying, be present and explore, and then let it reveal itself to you in the now, rather than projecting it into some future place that never comes, because there's always going to be more. Always, always, always going to be more. You're never going to get to a place where you have what you want, whereby you're together, or this, that, and the other. It doesn't exist in the future. It exists now. If you have a desire, it exists now. And it really is about detaching from your ideas about what the circumstances are. It's not even about detaching from the circumstance. It's about detaching from your idea of what you think the circumstance is. Your idea of how you should be together. And how it should be in your mind. And especially for the feminine, it's about connecting. Well, for both, it's really about connecting to your emotional experience and allowing that to inform your environment, to inform your circumstance, to have much more of a feeling experience of the world than a thinking experience of the world. Then we can let go of this in the future place, like this linear time whereby it exists over there. So when you create from that page of wands, when you are manifesting, when you're visualizing and you're creating, you have to genuinely understand that it is done, it is happening, because it is happening. It's happening. If it's happening for you, it exists in the world entirely, 100%. And then when we can genuinely enjoy that process of being a creator, because that's what you are, then there's no need for it to manifest in the future, because it's manifested genuinely, and your belief and knowledge and feeling, visceral experience that it has manifested means that there's no distance between you and the experience that you want to have, because you are experiencing it as you are creating it. This is how creation works, how manifestation works in terms of human beings. But really, it's exploring the way that you feel and being inspired. It's about using your environment to inspire you to create. And so therefore it requires an openness and not a rigidness of, oh, this is what I want. Because it's going to be an egoic desire. It's going to be ego desire that's lack-based. It's going to be I don't have. It's going to come from I don't have and therefore I want. It's I want feels different to I desire. You know, it's allowing oneself to be inspired into more of one's own experience, rather than I want this and I'm going to focus on it and then it's going to happen. Because that, if it's in the future, it's not happening. Your body needs to know that it's happening now, and the mind needs to understand that it is happening now. And if you let it, it's just a little slight shift. Anyone that's wanting to experience this in life, it's saying move through this, move through 7, move through fear. Actually, it's saying lose yourself and connect to your emotional experience, because it is true. We want to feel a certain way. You actually don't want a circumstance. You want to feel a certain way. And when you connect to that feeling, then you can experience it now, and you will not feel the distance. You will not suffer. You can desire and not suffer, because you can genuinely experience your desire manifesting in the moment that it's created. And then this is an easy journey. And this is the door that's open now for you to step through, to make this journey easy. I think that's it. So a really interesting month. Like I said, in general, I feel like on the feminine side, there's this focus on leadership by example. But she's got to get out of her own way. Especially in twin flame ideas and spirituality. It's more to do with spirituality and what she thinks is right and wrong and what she thinks she should do. It's just let it all go and it's for her to let it all go and find her truth in the moment and speak from that place, and to have this openness to explore, even though it might be scary when we've set down all these ideas and beliefs that have kept us safe maybe before. There's nothing wrong with all these swords at all. I think people as well, they can condemn situations or ways that they've been. It's almost as though they hold on to things for safety, because if they let them go, then they feel like all the time they spent believing that thing is wrong. They write off that time. And I think that's what keeps people holding on to ideas and beliefs about the way they think things should be. Because it's almost like if they set them down, then they can't deal with then it's almost like they erase the past as though that shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have been believing that. So it's almost like, okay, if it's not appropriate for me to believe this now, it wasn't appropriate for me to believe that 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago or 20 years ago. It was completely appropriate for you to believe that 20 years ago. It's not appropriate now. That you believed it 20 years ago or 2 minutes ago doesn't mean you were wrong 2 minutes ago or 20 years ago. It means that it was valid then. It's not valid now. And it can be reborn. You can wake up the next day and be like, oh, this is my truth now, and it's here again. But that's really any belief that stays, that's how it should exist. It's always being reborn from the present moment of our experience. It's not that we are projecting a belief onto our reality. That's the difference. It's that it keeps emerging. It's a truth, one sword of truth that keeps emerging moment to moment. It's not a collection that we've built up that will weigh us down. One must be free in love. One must be free of their own thoughts and beliefs of what love should be. Otherwise, love cannot bloom. It's about feeling through and working from passion and sensitivity to the environment and allowing it to be attracted to you rather than you trying to get to it to a point, because then it's almost like you're always chasing a carrot and you never get there. But it is here. It is here 100%. Like I said, the masculine is more focused on how he feels and who he can be emotionally, and emotionally supporting the feminine massively and experiencing that feminine emotion actually, and being around women and experiencing that. All other women are a doorway to the ultimate feminine for him. But it might feel like his life's a little bit on hold, or ends up like a little bit on hold, because similarly, because there's always a balance and always a mirror, he's kind of, it's almost like that his ideas of how things should be get taken away as well, get moved away. So there's a mirroring in that. But it really is, this process, and I can really see it. It's like all the stuff that's in the way, all the barriers that restrict us from experiencing love, they are what are falling on both sides. But then it can be quite scary, this experience of not knowing and just exploring in the moment. But we only need to know what we need to know when we need to know it, one step at a time. And that's how we reach this. And it is 100% here, right at the top of this reading. So there we go. Awesome month. Get on the Astro train with me later on in the month. It's going to be around second, third week, and it's going to go up. So a reading for every astrological sign. And I was thinking about it. You can look at sun, moon, ascendant, but then I'm also thinking about your Venus, where your Venus is in your chart, if you know anything, it depends what you know. But as always, as I said, just feel into what feels best. Be open to the messages all around you all the time. And the guidance is there. The guidance is always there. I know you know that. If you don't already know, I am over on Patreon doing this weekly live reading, which is super fun on a Sunday. And daily, whenever I feel messages to come through, I post them as well throughout the week. So I'll put the link below if you want to take a look at that. Otherwise, I'm just going to be here doing this reading. And like I said, I'll be doing this monthly, once a month, and then mid-month, I'll be doing the June Astro readings will be coming up just 10 days probably before June begin. No, the July Astro readings will go up, about 10 days before the month of July begins. That's my current plan. So you'll have more in there. Please share, please like, please comment about if you like this format, how you like it. And please share with anyone that you think would be relevant for. Anybody in relationship, anybody. I really feel as though these twin flame or higher love relationships are really the kind of like highest expression, but all of this is relevant for everybody in relationship, and there are messages in there for everybody in relationship. So please share this with anyone you think it might be useful for. Because there's always these, it could be anything, just a little nugget or a little, just one sentence or one idea that really helps, you know, that's a message for someone, even if the whole reading doesn't make sense. So yeah, just get it out to people that that you may feel it's useful to as well. Okay, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure, and interesting times. I wish you so much love. You rock. I always get this feeling that I want to say, it's just, I wish that everybody could see themselves through the eyes of love. But that's why we have relationship. My genuine desire is for you to see yourself through the eyes of love with these kind of rose-tinted love glasses, because that's who you really are. And I think that's what we want to know. That's the drive. This is what we want to see. And relationship is the way that we do that. So loads of love. Have an incredible month. Love you lots. You're more amazing than you know. That's just the way we're designed. That's why we need one another. So we're just walking each other home. Hold each other's hands. Be unafraid, or be afraid, and be there anyway. Be afraid and be there anyway. All right, loads of love.